Hello and welcome to your Astrological Vibrations for Tuesday, December 7th, 2021 by Gaia Blooming. I am Mimi and our energy mantra for today is I find the balance between soul expansion and right here, right now. All right. So I think that's definitely an overall theme of the day. Besides the empowerment work that I talked about yesterday, we have that going on. We have two squares happening today. And squares bring resistance. Squares are where we find challenges. And it's interesting because when we have squares, oftentimes there are similar themes, similar energies, but just different ways of going about it. And so we find resistance, we find challenges in these different ways. And it really does feel like, like I believe we come into this world with like this soul plan. It's like, oh yeah, when you're in the ethers, it's like, no problem. So easy. Got it. And then we get into this density. We're like, whoa, what did I sign up for? I said I was going to do this. Why? So I think we have these energies at play today. In one place that this is at play is between Mercury and Neptune. Mercury hanging out in Sagittarius, Neptune in Pisces. And so two different kinds of knowledge kind of finding conflict there. And then the other one that we're feeling today is Mars and Jupiter. So Mars and Scorpio, Jupiter and Aquarius. And both like the Aquarius and Pisces vibes are so esoteric, so out of this world, right? And even though I would say the Sagittarius can visit out of this world, but still it's like, well, these are the facts and this is what I know. And so there's the conflict there. And Mars and Scorpio is like, we can't forget the underworld as we're visioning, as we're doing this vision process. So we have all these layers kind of like culminating together, and our work is to find our balance between what our soul knows and our higher self and how it's guiding us, and also the part of us that lives on this planet and experiences and has to work through this density. So let's start with the moon, though, before we dig into those a little deeper. We have the moon moving into Aquarius. So the moon moving into Aquarius will definitely help us with those higher vibes, the vision vibes, the vibrational vibes, right? Tuning into those, aligning with those energies. Moon in Aquarius is like, no thank you. Don't want to go into that lower density stuff. I'm up here in the clouds. I had a boyfriend who called me Cloud Angel once. I was so happy to live there. So that we may be feeling that, with the moon in Aquarius, like, I'll just be here in the clouds. I don't want to come back down from this cloud, right? That song. So we have that. And then Spirit's like, all right, send in the work. So first lineup is that Mercury Neptune square. Now Mercury moves pretty fast and works pretty fast. So we're not going to be in that all day long, but this is where like competing energies come, and it's like it's like reading something in a newspaper and then seeing something on your Facebook feed from like, a spiritual teacher, and they oppose each other, and you're like, oh, I respect this source and I respect this source. Don't need to get into the media right here. And you're like, oh my God, I don't even know which way I'm supposed to go. So we're going to be feeling that a bit with that Mercury and Sagittarius, wanting to take in the knowledge, wanting to connect to the truth, and Neptune and Pisces being like, oh my God, the truth is so beyond anything that you could even handle. Just take this little nugget, right? So what is your balance in those places? And again, your balance may look different from my balance. My balance will look different from like their balance over there. So just recognize that everybody's finding their way through this density and connecting to spirit in their own ways. Do keep that in mind in this. And I think when it comes to truth, there are many paths that we take to try to understand it. And I think we're all entitled to take our path on that journey. So just, again, keep that in mind in and through this energy with that. Then we got the moon working Saturn. Oh, then we actually have a large portion of the day with like nothing actually going on. Trying to find that balance between those energies, that's going to be the work through most of the day. Moon conjunct Saturn. And we might be like, oh, purpose. This is the direction. This is how I roll. And then we have that Mars-Jupiter square, which we're going to be feeling that all through the day. So Mars in Scorpio can bring up our survival stuff. It can bring up our old trauma. It can also align us with like our passion and desire. But a lot of times that Scorpio energy, we have to go through the transformation process. We have to go through the Phoenix process. Otherwise, a lot of times we are kind of stuck in the underworld of that Scorpio energy. And Jupiter in Aquarius over here is like, oh, the vision, the vibration, tune into it. It's so good. But again, we need to get through the density. So you may find yourself on various parts of that path of like, oh my gosh, I want this. I want to feed into the vision. I want to feed into the vibration. And you have that nagging energy inside of you like, yeah, you need to take care of me or else I'm going to become a volcano. That part of energy within yourself. There is empowerment through this process. Empowerment is huge this week. There is empowerment in recognizing you can get there in regards to that vision. You can get there in regards to that vibration, that you can hold space just as well for this nagging feeling within you that needs to be worked through. And so that's your work. Finding the balance, finding your personal responsibility. I love looking at the degrees. I love looking at the numbers. 26 degrees is where Mars and Jupiter are meeting. So 26 is an 8. So there's personal responsibility. And so you need to recognize if your personal responsibility is with that nagging feeling within you, or if your responsibility is in aligning your actions with your vision and releasing the fear of doing that. Or if it's just holding the vision right now. Like, where are you at on that path? And then we complete the evening with more squares. So many squares. The moon in Aquarius squaring Uranus. So my feeling is, especially late in the evening, maybe even in dream time, as you move through the day, if you did not take care of that nagging thing, that will probably become something feeling more triggery to you. And I would say, like, check in with yourself often, check in with your aggression, check in with that frustration. That frustration, again, we like to point the finger out there, but so often it is something internal, you know? Not always. There's so many reasons to be frustrated in this world, let me be fair and say, right? However, even if there's so many blocks outside, often there is something internal that still does need to be addressed. So if you haven't, chances are Uranus is going to be like, oh, I see this button, poke, because that's what Uranus does best. That being said, I have beautiful cards for this day overall. Two beautiful empresses, or an empress and a queen. Queen of Wands and the Empress. So our creativity is going to be on point. Creativity and the Magician card. Like, let your mind create. Let your mind daydream. Let your mind have creative rain. Now, this isn't like wild monkeys throwing poop rain. This is like, oh my gosh, I would love to call this into my life. I would love to see this in the world. I would love to see this, like, you know, in my community. Let that kind of, like, wild happen. And I love the ripeness card with it. The ripeness being like, yes, you are planting seeds, and this is time for the seeds. So, like, let that creativity process. If you are not feeling that creativity, the ordinariness card is like, hey, look for the good around you, because there is so much good offered for you that can stimulate this beautiful energy. So overall, I think it's very positive, although the whole day may not necessarily seem completely easy. So, leaving that there, you can book a reading with me. Email me, mimiclark@gmail.com, 2022 year ahead readings. If you emailed me and I did not get back to you, I promise you I will. Coming back around after that eclipse, it was very strong for me. Mini 2022 readings available as well. Transits are going to be available very soon. Gift certificates, all that. Besides that, the better it gets. There's more than enough love in the world for you. You have the power, and stay curious. Namaste.